Is it the right thing for me to do forever? Who knows? Right. Life's not about the end goal, because the end goal is we're all dead.
Correct.
You all die. That's the ending. So make the stuff in between fun.
Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles. And we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
Guys, welcome back to Breaking Barriers. We're super excited to have you here. With me today, I have my man Joe. And dude, this is a big one though, because I'm excited because obviously you had a transition. Correct. And a lot of people that are out there have experienced so many. And I'm really excited to talk about what you're doing now, the mindset, what you're doing, how the transition has been, because there are so many people that have been out there that feel like it's too scary to make a transition, right?
Yeah.
And it's a scary thing because it's change.
Yeah.
It's massive change.
100%.
So for people out there, they're like, who the hell is this fucking handsome bastard Joe? Give them a little bit about Joe.
All right, so Joe Marchitelli. I'm a doctor, chiropractor. I've been a doctor for about 6 years now. Worked in a few clinics, opened my own office, and right now I am transitioning into the residential energy, renewable energy, residential energy space, which has nothing to do with anything I spent 26 years in school for.
The transition itself is going to be a big topic that I want to connect on.
Correct.
But before we get there, so you're a doctor,
yes.
Right? You're in a transition. Let's go a bit deeper. But who's Joe? You're an entrepreneur. You know, you started a successful practice, right?
Correct.
And what else? Like, what for the people out there who don't know? Like, because I want to make sure the people that are listening right now have the capability to say, I want to go follow Joe and follow his journey, right? So, like, who is Joe?
So, I'm just a kid that always wanted to make it in some way, shape, or form. I never knew what that was going to be, but I was willing to hustle and push for it.
Right.
Whether it's, doing yard work and lawns door to door as a kid to try and drum up business, or flipping sports cards and Pokemon cards, or going to college, not having enough money, taking loans and stuff. So to make a little extra money, you're buying and selling, flipping concert tickets.
Right.
I was just always looking for an opportunity to, make some money, but it was never always about the money. It was fun. Right. It was a game. It's a game to win at something and be successful at whatever you're doing.
Right.
Buying tickets, being able to resell them for a new price is a game.
Totally.
The price of it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you were able to see a vision on something and you ran with it and it worked.
Did you like the hunt, like the chase of it?
Yeah, so the way that worked, which is very weird, is I'd have multiple computers up so I can have a different browser on every computer, and I would refresh every browser right as the tickets go to try and get the best ones.
Boom, boom, boom. Right.
So yeah, that's the hunt.
Correct.
You have alerts in your phone when you got to get on there for the next one,
right.
Or when you relate it to like landscaping stuff. When I was a kid, I would go into a retirement community and just knock door to door. Hey, I noticed, your beds of rock and mulch needed some work, and can I help with that?
Right. So whatever it took, you just literally went after it.
Didn't
like
matter.
you were just like trying to make moves. It didn't matter what the field was.
Correct.
And then you go into like a specialized ass field as a doctor, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I want to start off by saying, so like, being a doctor, especially going to school to be a doctor, is like daunting.
Correct.
And I think for anybody who's been through it, it's super worth it, obviously, in the
100%.
long run of it. But when you're in it, like, I know friends that are like literally can't go out because they're studying and they have so many exams and like they have so much that they have to do, and it's a lot of college debt.
Yes.
Right? So like, what made you go from being this like kind of like serial entrepreneur salesperson to like, hey, I'm gonna fucking go to school and I want to go to be a doctor? Like, what was the shift?
So, at one point in my life, I think every guy growing up that's in sports wants to be a professional athlete. And I wanted to be a professional athlete. I was in high school, and I got in a very serious injury that made me have to go to physical therapy and chiropractors and all these kind of things. And that stirred up my love for wanting to be a doctor. I wanted to then be able to pass along information to help future athletes from having to go down the road I went through of surgeries and not becoming everything you wanted to be. in that sport simply because you were held back by something that you had no control over, like an injury.
Right.
So that was my gear towards becoming a doctor.
Got it.
And I've always had this like innate thing to like, it's not a bad thing, but it's not necessarily the best thing for yourself, but you're always doing something for somebody else because you always want to help out everyone else around you. That's a doctor.
Right.
A good doctor is always trying to do everything they can for everybody else in their life, whether it's their spouse, their kids, their patients. They're always kind of putting themselves on the back burner, and that's my type of personality. I'm okay with that.
Right.
I like being that person.
Totally.
It feels better knowing I'm helping people.
Right.
So that was my reasoning for going into being a doctor, was to help as many people as possible.
Right.
But also I had a lot of bad experiences that I didn't want someone else to go through.
Got it. So what I love about that though is that you were impacted by an experience that you went through,
Correct.
which led you to want to become a doctor.
Correct.
Right? So it wasn't just like one day you woke up and your parents like, go to school, be a doctor.
Yeah.
Like you went through it, were impacted because you were an athlete. So super quick, like what advice would you give to somebody watching right now that's in high school, potentially wants to go for PT or chiropractic or any sort of medical? Like what advice would you give them? And also what helped you like keep pushing through to get that degree? Because, you know, again, it's no joke, a lot of commitment.
Yeah. My advice would be, first things first, find somebody to shadow. There's probably an office in your hometown, and if there's not, get out of your hometown. Get uncomfortable. Go find somebody to learn from, and if you're interested in being a PT, go shadow a PT, shadow a chiropractor, shadow a medical doctor, anybody that'll let you see it.
Just get out there, get experience.
See it.
Right.
Be in it. Live it every
Right.
day for a while, and make sure that you like it. And then start going into that realm of going down the school. And the school doesn't matter.
Right.
Everyone, wants to say how much effort it takes to go to school, and I'm not here to downplay the school because it is, it's a lot to go through, but if you really like what you're doing,
then it's like,
it doesn't matter. Like, you're here every day. I'm sure
Right.
you have a whole stack of things to do, but you love your profession.
100%.
It's not work. It's tasks.
Right.
You're just completing tasks
Yep.
to fulfill your needs.
Action list, hit list, whatever I got to do.
That's what school is. If you want to be a
like
doctor,
that.
you're not
I like
working.
that. I like that.
You're fulfilling tasks to get to your needs.
Right. Different levels, different things you have to do to get to that point. Different ladders for different levels, right?
Correct.
So, that's cool. I really appreciate that. Because me, like, I always like to ask that question because, like, me going throughout, like, for me, like, school was always such a big challenge for me. I didn't like it. I wasn't a great student. I was very lazy when it came to schoolwork. And then, and also, in full transparency, all of our followers already and listeners already know this, but I was in all remedial classes, right? Like I was one of the kids that had the 8 in the room, like had a learning disability, that whole thing.
Yes.
And then it took me until when I started my company to realize that it wasn't a learning disability. It was the fact that like I learn very differently from most people. A chalkboard or a presentation doesn't do it for me. I have to go fucking touch it. I have to go do it. I have to fail at it and then keep learning. Like the epitome of how I learn is an IKEA fucking set that you put together, right?
Yeah, the first one's gonna get screwed up.
Correct, but I'm weird though, right? Because like I don't look at the directions. What I do is I look at the picture, and then I work from that. And that sounds crazy, but like I think the directions confuse me, right? So everybody's different. So my point though is like for me, like if I'm putting chairs together from IKEA, right? Like the chairs that are in that conference area out there, like the first one took me probably like 25 to 30 minutes to do. The other ones took me 5 minutes because I figured out how to do it.
Yes.
Right? So, but either way, the point is though, is that for me, school is always challenging. So I always like to ask that question because there's so many people out there, whether they're in college right now, they're in high school, or they're like in between. Yeah. And they're just like, what gets, somebody who, because you've been on the other side of success with becoming a doctor, got your fucking, you got all the schooling out of the way, created a practice, successful practice, big brand. And so I always like to ask that question because a lot of people are like, well, that seems impossible, right? There's so much work that has to happen to get to that side of the spectrum, right? So it's like, oh my God, it's got to be insane, right? So I really appreciate that understanding of like, it's a task list to get you to where you got to go in that world.
Correct.
That's fucking awesome. Now, on the spectrum of transitioning, right? Because I think this is also massive. So many people that I know went to college and never even used their degree.
Yeah,
in your case, you did, and you successfully did.
Yes.
And then you are transitioning still.
I am.
So for people out there, what is that like? And also, you're just starting this journey, right? So like this is
in the
fresh.
Process of transitioning.
The ink is still drying on this journey, right?
Yeah,
so it's like
yeah.
this is new. So talk to us about that, and for the people who are scared to make that happen for themselves.
So it's the scariest thing you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And I've had multiple things in my life that I've done along the lines of becoming a doctor, making personal moves, making career choices, and the ones that scared the shit out of me the most turned out to be the most amazing ones.
Right.
So the fact that this scared me made me believe that this is the right thing for me to do right now. Is it the right thing for me to do forever? Who knows? Right. Life's not about the end goal, because the end goal is we're all dead.
Correct.
You all die. That's the ending. So make the stuff in between fun.
The journey is so important.
And that's where you reward yourself. You reward yourself on, I want to look back when I'm 80 years old, with my kids and my grandkids, and show them that I was never afraid to take a chance.
Right.
I never got too comfortable doing what I was doing.
Right.
Because comfort, in my opinion, is the killer of dreams.
100%.
So
it's the enemy.
I was getting comfortable, and I was good at what I did, and I love what I do, and I still am a chiropractor. I'm still a doctor. My favorite aspect of being a doctor has nothing to do with the physical act of adjusting and treating as a chiropractor. It's the relationship of building with a patient, learning about them, understanding what things in their life. And majority of the time, the things that I had the most success with patients were when I dove a little deeper into more of their mental aspect around what they were dealing with and tried to help them on that end.
Right.
Because that had a lot more effect on them long term.
Right.
Now I'm transitioning to renewable energy, which has absolutely nothing to do with being a doctor.
Right.
I also believe that it's such a new field that no one really knows a ton about it yet. Right. So every day we're learning more, and it's changing, and we're learning a little more, and it's changing. But the thing that's keeping me grounded in it is it's helping people. And my ultimate purpose in life, like we said, was I want to help people. I want to help as many people as possible.
Right.
So every time I do this, there's multiple people that are going to be helped within a transaction. And the transaction is not meant on a financial, but just the exchange. There's me. There's the homeowner I'm currently helping. I win because now I'm completing my job, which gets me paid, which takes care of my family. So they're winning. My family's winning. This homeowner's only getting put in a situation that's beneficial for them.
Right.
If it's not beneficial for them, it's not worth it. So they win.
Right.
And now we're converting somebody to renewable energy, which, based on the science that we have now, will be beneficial to the entire world.
Right.
So every transaction is benefiting every human being on this planet. You cannot help more people than if you're doing things like that.
Correct.
So I'm satisfying my need to help people on the largest scale I possibly can right now.
Right.
So I win there too.
Right.
Which is a selfish game, but it is what it is.
It's your life, right? Guys, when you come down to it, there's nothing wrong with being selfish when it comes to your goals, and that's a damn fact. So
Correct.
I love that you said that. Now, one of the bigger things too. So we always get asked this question too. So when it comes to the entrepreneur's routine, right? People always want to know, what does the morning look like to set you up for success? What does the evening look like to set you up for success? Is there health things involved, whether it's food, whether it's, you popped in here drinking a Bang energy drink? Yeah. Literally, what is it that sets you up for mental, physical, as well as performing your job, your family? What sets you up for success?
I'm a routine guy, and I would think that majority of successful entrepreneurs, not that I think that I'm in the class of some of these top tier guys, but it's the start. Everybody has a routine that they follow. However, I do believe that too much of a routine can create a rut and prevent you from being creative and learning new things.
Right.
So by transitioning to something new, I had set routines that were blown out of the water for an aspect of my day, 8 to 10 hours of my day, that I now had to learn new routines to fill that 8 to 10 hours, which allowed me to be super creative and develop new strengths and work on weeknesses.
Right.
But as of today, it's funny you say this, because yesterday I sat and created my routine that I'm now going to follow every week.
Right.
Because I have to create it out of thin air. The way my job works now is based on what routines I develop for myself.
Right.
Every day I'm up at 5 a.m.
Right.
Saturday, Sunday, 6:30.
And what I respect, though, for the record, for everybody watching, and listening is that like you don't technically have to be up that early.
No.
You could be up at 10 a.m.
I can be up whatever time I want.
Right. It's like being a real estate agent. You set your own hours if you wanted to.
I can. So why do I get up that early? I'm competitive as shit. Mm-hmm. There's no greater feeling in the world than coming back from the gym while everyone else is still sleeping and knowing I have the jump on every person in there.
Yep.
That is something that helps me. And the other thing is being in my industry and what I'm doing is my phone's going all day.
Yeah.
The only time my phone's not going is from 5 a.m. to about 8 a.m.
Right.
So believe it or not, between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m., if you know me, you're friends with me, John knows this, you're going to get the most amount of responses to messages and DMs and emails from me between 5 and 8 a.m.
Right.
And I'm going to send them to you.
Because you're in grind mode.
I don't care. That's who I am. I get them out first thing, and then I hit the gym.
Right.
I have to hit the gym. I am someone with that physical routine of every single day working out clears my mind.
Right.
And when my mind is clear and focused, I get more done.
Correct.
And the days when I fall off, I suck.
Right.
And it's almost like I'm just wasted an entire day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm tired by the end of the day, but I'm accomplished, and that's what matters.
There's no worse feeling than not being able to feel that success in the morning like that, though.
Yes.
Like when you're like, shit, I didn't do my routine. And for everybody listening here, though, like one of the things I learned, though, too, just by interviewing, having clients that are entrepreneurs, is that not every entrepreneur is the same, right? Or not even put entrepreneurs aside, not every people are the same, right? So again, like Jeff Bezos wakes up naturally. He calls it natural wake up at like 8 o'clock or something like that. It's like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Like he doesn't wake up early, but yet he has one of the most successful companies on the planet, right? So everybody has a different time, right? There's different strokes for different folks, right? So the biggest thing is it's a matter of what works for you. But I think the one thing that I love that you do, and I think that like it's so important, is that you get selfish for yourself before your day starts. Yes. Like you need to get that gym out of the way to clear your head. Like that's something that works for you. It's something you like, you want to do. So boom, you make sure that you make that a priority and you're doing it. And I think that's so important for people to do that. Even if it's you playing a fucking video game, like, or whatever it is that you want to do at some point in the morning before your day starts. Obviously keep health. So one of the things that I'm pushing heavy right now, Joe, is the 3 H's. So I call it the triple H, if anyone likes wrestling.
Yeah, of course.
So it's the hunger aspect to want and in your movement and what your passion is in life. So for me, obviously adapting social. So the hunger, right? Because I think hunger is what drives anything and everybody forward. Secondly is my health. Because if I don't have my health, I have fucking nothing. And over the past 13 years that I've been doing this, it's taken the backseat for probably 95% of that 13 years, right? And so now I'm more dialed in and focused than I've ever have been. And then third is my happiness, right? So the things that matter the most to me and that make me happy, which are my family, my friends, being able to go out and hang out with people, make impact with people. Working out is still a happiness thing for me too. But being able to spend time with my wife, right? And like, focusing on us building our family. So it's so crucial that I think that people focus on those 3 H's, because one of the things over time for me that throughout Adapting Social, I can't lie and say that I haven't gotten complacent in some aspects. And the hunger went down because Adapting Social, we've been around for 13 years, right? It's like we've been making impact on small businesses now for quite some time, to the point where, Adapting Social is like a smooth oil running machine now. So I've had to dial back and realize that like you have to keep that edge no matter how old you get, right? So that hunger I practice every day, because when I started, my family had no money, had nothing. I had to build up. Like nobody was like, John, if you fail, here's plan B. I got money. I'll pay for your college. I'll pay for this. So I didn't go to college. I didn't have somebody that was going to help pay or whatever. I didn't think that I could pay it off. So point being for everybody that's listening right now is that or watching, is at the end of the day, having hunger, happiness, and your health in mind at all times is super, super, super important for your own success. Because if you're not healthy, you won't feel good, you won't perform good. And that's the bottom line. 100%. So I'd love that you take that time. So what does your nighttime look like? So you're getting ready to go to bed. And what time is that? What time is the bedtime?
So my day, 8 o'clock is the time my wife's 36 weeks pregnant. I have a kid coming in 3 to 4 weeks.
About to bust out.
Our routine now has become, and I'm trying to build this routine.
And congrats on that, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to build it in anticipation of my son being here. That time early is for me. Yes. All you parents that want to jump in there and tell me that my routine's not going to exist and all this kind of stuff, thank you. I appreciate your thoughts on all this. But if he wakes me up at 3:30 and I put him back to bed, I'll go to the gym then.
Right.
I'm going to get my time in. I'm going to do what I need to do.
Right.
Because that selfishness for me allows me to give to my family. 8 o'clock, I wake my wife up. Yep. I get dogs out. we get her situated for the day, and then she knows by 9:30 I'm working, and I'm gonna work until lunch. Maybe I'll come home for lunch, see her, and then I try to wind down my day work-wise between 6 to 7 o'clock. With my new job, my industry, there are going to be nights where I'm out till 9:30, and I'll make those changes as need be. But I'm in bed every single night by 10 o'clock.
Really?
And I like to
love that.
I like to read.
I think it's a great time.
I think it's the best thing for everyone to do. Mm-hmm. I don't have a TV in my room. We don't believe in that. Not like it's a religion.
I like it. No, I get it.
No TV in my room. I have a book next to my nightstand, and I read, and I try to read 10 to 15 pages every single night before I go to bed.
Love it.
That's my routine. We fall asleep somewhere between 10:30 and 11, depending on how long it takes to wind down. Yep. And I'm back up between 4 and 5 o'clock every day.
What I love about that, though, too, is the fact that at the end of the day, like, people want to have a better day, have a better week, have a better life, but they're not putting in the time or the work to prime themselves, right? Yes. And this I learned from Tony Robbins, is you have to prime yourself for success. There are going to be 10,000 things in your week that happen this week, or maybe 3 or 4 realistically, that you don't fucking like, or that are not in accordance to your goals or your plan or whatever the hell is going to happen, whether it's business, family, personal, whatever, right? You can't control all that. I can't control that, all the shit that's going to happen to me, right? But at the end of the day, right, when you prime yourself, and that's why every morning, especially during the week, Monday through Friday, like religious clockwork, this is what I do. I prime myself and ready for things that I cannot control, that are out of my hands, that I know that I will give my best, because my perspective can't change on what happens to me, right? I have my values in life. I know who I am. I have my wife, I have my business. I know what I'm doing. So when things happen to me, it's a matter of understanding that I'm going to be ready to give it my best. And that's all that I can do. Some things I can't control. Mm-hmm. So I love that you're doing that. And for people out there that are watching, it's super important that you have that understanding, that priming yourselves, again, like you're reading, you're throwing things in your mind and your subconscious before you go to bed. It's fueling your brain. And you're waking up and you're being selfish and you're getting after it in the gym in the morning. Like, you're just totally setting yourself up for success. And a lot of people don't do that. And it's like important, because that helps mental health as well as physical health, right? So it's so good that you're doing that. And then for this last segment, because we have 2 minutes.
Correct.
This is where we get deep here.
Yes.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. So this is a new thing. Last time you were on, I didn't do this yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're at the end of the road here, right? What does your tombstone say? Now, most people says loving father, whether it's, philanthropist, this, that, great husband. What does Joe M's gravestone say at the end of the fucking tunnel?
So I'm going to steal
this. And this is perspective right now, right? So this is where you are currently.
So I'm going to steal this. I'm on a Matthew McConaughey kick.
Okay.
Read his book Green Lights twice already. Okay. Been watching a lot of his stuff and listening to a lot of things he has to say. My tombstone will read, Joe Marchitelli became his own hero. Mm. And it stems back to the McConaughey speech where
I love that speech.
You make your hero you 10 years from now.
Right.
Because that gives you something to constantly chase to be better for.
Yep.
Whoever that hero is to you. So who my hero is based on who I want to be is in my own mind. Mm. But when I am done and I'm no longer here, I'm going to know that I achieved that because I reach towards those goals of being my own hero every day.
Boom. I mean, listen, boom. Like, that was probably the fastest answer. Every time I ask that, everyone's like, oh shit. Like, I got to really think about that. So I love that you literally just fucking fired that out in like 2 seconds. Yeah. So, all right. Love that. Now, where can people find you? How can they engage with you? And, and all that good stuff.
I have an Instagram, Joe Marchitelli, just my name. It's real simple. Have Facebook. It's easier to find me on Instagram. My Facebook, I'm pretty sure, is private. I don't really know. Most people do that nowadays, but Instagram is wide open. Yep. DM me, message me. You can find me. I have an email too. It's joe@drjoeknowssolar.com. Mm-hmm. You can reach out to me through there. It doesn't have to be specifically for that, but that's the email I have right now. Reach out to me anytime. Reach out, talk, anything you want to talk about. I'm pretty open to talking about.
Love it, man. Thank you so much for being here, my guy.
Appreciate
this is
it,
awesome.
Yep.
And go give my man a follow. He's killing it. Big transition right now. And if you need solar, boom, this is the guy right here. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and subscribe.